Hello there, welcome to the replay. If you're watching the replay, if you're live, hello, live, direct. We're here to practice English, using English, practicing English, learning English, all of that sort of stuff. My aim is to try and say less. I say it all of my life. This has been a problem, but I'm trying. That's one of my missions is to try and have those little unfortunate linking words while we're pondering and thinking. Try to have less of those. Anyway, so here we are. It's just when you say it and hear it, it's like one of those things. It's a very grating in a way, but like many things we learn, it's one of those things. We are here to practice English. Now, we're thinking about how do we learn English, and we're very much trying to promote the idea of using stuff. So quite often we will watch stuff, read stuff, listen to stuff, and we don't actually use any of it, unfortunately. I've happened to come onto this website. I've never seen this website before, apart from today. And any website is good as any other, effectively. carnewschina.com is the website, and we want to just we're browsing through basically to see what's around. Obviously, this is going to be a lot about cars related to China. So lots of news and that sort of thing. When I first saw this page, this particular headline struck me. So BYD yuan up, launches on March 19, starting at 11,000 US dollars. And I thought that could be somewhat interesting. I can see right from the headline, so we've got the same title for the headline. This is telling me it's 3 minutes long. The author, when it was published, it also tells me there's 13 comments potentially to read. It's always good to have any sort of blog or website where you have comments. It can give you an incentive, may give you a reason to think, oh, okay, maybe I can add a comment. I can say what I think, or at least prepare your opinion. Even if you don't post, you can think about preparing your opinion or thoughts to post, even without doing it. But you go through the process, thinking about it, writing it out, editing, and so on. This is the practice part that we're talking about. So speaking and writing. And the second part would be, or the second point would be that you can see what other people are thinking and how they're expressing their ideas with whatever the topic is. There could also be different types of language, different degrees of formality, and so on. This is the car mentioned. I assume this is the car mentioned, the yuan up, BYD yuan up. This is okay. That's it. I don't want to be picky with it's just a photo. I understand it's just a photo and it's just where it is, and not everything is perfect, of course, with anything. It's just interesting how non-green generally that grass is. You imagine for a profile, for like a promotional sort of photo, maybe they might have a crisper, greener looking patch of grass. But things don't have to be perfect because that's not what everything's about. Let's start having a read through this, shall we? BYD is preparing to unveil its latest addition to the Dynasty series with the launch of the yuan up. It will debut on the 19th of March with an expected starting price of 79,800 yuan, around 11,000 US dollars. Similarly priced as the BYD Destroyer 05 or 05 Honor Edition. which seems to be called the Chaser 05 or the Chazar, maybe, or the King DMI in overseas markets. Of course, with anything, any sort of text or thing or resource that you're using to learn English, you don't have to use everything. Now, even though this is only 3 minutes long, the read, and obviously it's going to take longer if I'm interrupting, even if it only is a short amount, what is a good idea to do is if you have a limited amount of time, say you only have 5 minutes, you can look at that paragraph and there's enough in there for you to practice. So, and particularly when you see things like numbers, dates, that's even easier. So what I guess the easiest things to think about, and probably this is what you've experienced in classes anyway, is when you have some sort of text, quite often you will have questions to answer in relation to that, to see if you understand or comprehend, get the information. I encourage you, the more you get of that sort of stuff, I think can take away from some of the learning and effort that you need to make to learn. So I would encourage you to not necessarily look at the questions unless maybe you need inspiration. You can't think of anything and then you need to prepare questions, but only use them as that it's a sort of a guide. Whenever you have questions attached to something, you should be looking to try and prepare your own questions. Here we have 3 sentences, and we can pick out different pieces of information to create the questions. I guess there's 2 types of questions in a general sense. I suppose it depends how you want to categorize the questions. But with this, I'm thinking there's 2 types of questions. One where the answers are in the text directly, or one where the answers are outside of the text. Maybe you need to think or develop an idea or relate it to your history or knowledge and that sort of thing, relating it to your experience. So I think there's those 2 different types of questions. So let's start off with a question for something that's in the text. And I guess one of the easiest ones to look at is, say, for something like a date. And so here we have the date 19th of March. And we've got the sentence, or the beginning of the sentence, it will debut on the 19th of March. So if we go to our sheet of paper or wherever, we can start to prepare questions. Now, with the question word for a time for something, we can say the question like, when will the vehicle be released? When will the car debut? When will the car make its debut? When can people start buying the car? Now, if that's 100% correct, by the cars, no. So that may not be 100% correct in terms of, I assume that when the vehicle is making its debut, I'm assuming that means people can start buying it, but perhaps technically they can start buying it before that, but that's actually when it's they can actually pick it up, if you like. So, because I guess here we have the word released, and here we have start buying. So it could be that they're on the same day, it could be that they're not. So I guess I've played with the words there a little bit. But in terms of the context of the text, I guess that can make sense. But it could be a little bit incorrect if we know a little bit more information. At this stage, I don't know, and I don't know if that information is there, but I'm going to make some assumptions. Now, all of these questions here are based on that one particular answer. So, of course, you can just write one question, or you can write multiple questions. So, but the answer, I guess we have the question word for a date or a day here. So the answer for all of these will be on the 19th of March. And then we have more numbers. So here we have 79,800 yuan. And again, if we go and think about again, if you think, okay, so what's the question for a quantity or something? So how much will and again, same sort of thing over here. I put the vehicle and then I put the car, and I guess the car is a type of vehicle. It depends if you want to call it a car or a four-wheel drive or an SUV or different sort of thing. I guess vehicle can be more general. It may not technically be a car. I'm not sure. Let's have a look. What is it? I'm not sure in here if it actually says car. It doesn't say car, does it? I'm saying car, but maybe that's the wrong word to use. But maybe vehicle is the better word to use. But anyway, for example, so how much will the vehicle cost? Or we can say, or what will the price be to purchase the vehicle? So what will the price be to purchase the vehicle? So two different ways of asking the same sort of question with the same answer. With this, you can also specify. You could say in yuan, in US dollars, because we have that. It could be that you want to say it in another currency. You could say that, and then the person has to go away and make the exchange or do the calculation, I guess, going online using the internet and so forth. But that's an example there. So we have 79,800, or they can say 11,000 US dollars. I was going to say something else. I can't remember now. It's one of those things, where sometimes where your mind goes blank. But what was I going to say about that? So how much will it cost? What will the price be to purchase the vehicle? Okay. Now, I guess these are the more common sort of questions. If you happen to know some different expressions or ways to ask questions, or say an expression or an idea, you can, of course, use those too. It depends on your audience. If you think the person you're asking will understand or can work it out, you can use it, of course. But also maybe if it's in a formal situation, in a business context or something like that, maybe you might not use some language. And if it's with, say, friends or people in a casual, personal, relaxed way, you can use other expressions as well. But you need to make that decision, what is acceptable and not acceptable in those situations. So for something like this, is what we could say is, what will this vehicle set a purchaser back? So this is a bit more sort of complicated, I guess to say. To set someone back, or how much something sets someone back, is the price. Of course, we can see the combination here. Well, let's say instead of purchaser, let's say buyer, just to use a variety. So a purchaser, the person who purchases; a buyer, the person who buys, but synonyms effectively. what will this vehicle set a buyer back? And again, it's going to be the same answer as we have here. Now, you could also talk about questions in relation to the other models, where it's talking about the pricing. So, for example, you could have either open or closed questions. You could have is the price similar to the Chaser 5 model of car? Yes or no, and that sort of thing. It depends, I guess, on how you want to practice asking your questions. Or you could say, if you have more open, a little bit more open, you go, what is the price similar to? Or what are some vehicles that have a similar price or a comparative price to that? Here I'm going to also we've got here the Dynasty series. So let's add that as a question. So what is the name of the series that the new vehicle is a part of? Okay, so what's the name of the series that the new vehicle is a part of? I guess another way to just say that a bit more easier, or what series is it in? It being the car or the vehicle. So what series is it in? And that could just be the Dynasty series. So we can see here we have a series of questions just looking at that particular first paragraph. And effectively, you could almost any word you could have as the basis of your question. So it could be, who is unveiling the car? Who or what company? You could say who. That could obviously, it's more likely for a person, but it could also be for a company or organization. Or you could specifically say which company or which organization is preparing to release, is preparing to unveil, is preparing to show for the first time. Now, it could be, I suppose it's actually, if I go back to the questions here, I was thinking before. So I said the vehicle is to be released, but that looking this again, maybe that is wrong to say. So if we're saying the vehicle is released, that means it's actually out. Maybe it's not out because it's going to be unveiled. Yeah, I didn't really pay attention to that, but it's to be unveiled. Maybe they're just showing it in a display or whatever, or like a big presentation sort of thing, and maybe it's a month later, like you see with, I guess, like with different electronic devices and that sort of stuff, like with phones and other things. You often see the presentations, and then it's whatever, a few weeks or months later, you can buy it in the shops or wherever. Again, you can have things like unveil. If you don't know the word unveil, of course, we look it up in the dictionary, and you can look for synonyms that could be used for that. So maybe in this case, we could say will be shown for the first time, displayed to the public, something like that, for the first time. The veil is like the cover. Yeah, so say to unveil is to take off the cover. I think I don't really know, but I think in like a lot of countries, a lot of cultures, I don't actually know, but I think a lot of the traditions are like when there's like a bride is getting married, like in the marriage show. I think quite often they sort of have I think like the face of the bride covered up. I think that's in a few different cultures and religions and stuff. They have that, but I'm not 100% certain. But the Now, if this is it might not be the same name in all of the religions, but certainly in some religions, it's called a veil, the bit over the front. And when you lift the veil, it's another collocation or another combination that's very common. You lift the veil and you can see the face of the person. In this case, when they lift the veil, they will show you what the vehicle looks like. Let's continue, shall we? And so all of these questions that I put down, all of these are in the story. Of course, you could have questions outside of the story and that sort of thing, because maybe maybe you go, okay, BYD. Where is BYD from? What countries does BYD manufacture their vehicles in? What type of vehicles does BYD produce? Would you ever buy a BYD vehicle? What competitors does BYD have, etc.? So all of those questions you don't actually have in the article. You would need to maybe either research or think of your own opinion to answer those. In terms of the answers, I guess this is, again, your choice if you want to write down the answers or just explain the answers. If you're just saying the answers, you either can say the things you want to say just as it comes to mind, or you could prepare some notes and speak from those notes. So maybe you could have like some points, whatever the main points or ideas you want to express about whatever the question is. You could do like a mind map and just sort of expand your ideas for the different topics related to the question or the different points related to the question. And as you consider each part or each topic or parts of the topic, you can sort of expand with whatever points or examples or references that may be appropriate. I said we would continue, but then I didn't continue. And I went off again, but now we will continue. So this looks to be the vehicle again, just from a different angle. If this is the same photo, just at a different angle, it could well be, because it's on the left. Oh no, I think it's the different photo. It's just a different angle because the little sticker in the top left there. Not that that's important, but anyway. It's interesting. I wonder what colors this vehicle comes in. That could be another question you ask yourself, or you ask someone. What vehicles do you think will be available directly from the showroom, from the factory as such? Maybe it comes in one color. Maybe it's just gray. They're all coming gray, and if you want a different color, you have to go and go to a place and get it spray painted or something like that. Or maybe there's like 50 colors. Maybe when you order it, you can order from any color available, or any color maybe, and you just choose a color and they paint it for you. I mean, I don't know how long a paint job would, but wouldn't that be good if you could go in and say, I want this car, the color of blah blah blah, and they just whack it in the I don't know. Actually, I've got no idea what they're going to do, but in the spray people's places. Now that, of course, will probably add more. And I guess the main point of this vehicle is going to be the price, considering it's under 80,000 yuan. It seems like a reasonably inexpensive car. If it's electronic, I'm not sure, because it's what is it? Now it's under, when these little labels that they have here, it's got car launch, and that's another way when we talk about the unveiling. So here, when we've got the unveiling, the debuting of the car, the other word to look for that, I guess, is the launch of the car. That's again a good way to look at the vocabulary, and then if you're interested in that sort of thing, of course, you could click on that and you can see other stuff. But you know that already. But it's also, this is listed under EV, was going to be the main point. And with that, so I'm assuming this is an EV. So 11,000 for an EV, if it's, I guess, reliable, depending on how far it goes and what types of batteries and all that sort of stuff. But it seems like something that is possible for, or let's say within reach. Therefore, it's using expression. The price perhaps is within reach of more people than other electronic vehicles, as an example. So let's okay, here we go. So is this the next thing? Okay. So yuan up. I wonder if that's meant to be, I assume it's English, because obviously, well, I want to say obviously, but up is an English word. Let me just put the cable in here to make sure I'm plugged in. Up, of course, is an English word, but up could also just be like an acronym, and it could have some other meaning. But maybe this is, if I actually read the article, I can find out instead of just speculating and talking about it. Yuan up. Or maybe it's yuan UP. Maybe I'm saying this all wrong. Maybe it's yuan UP. Continues the Song L design language. Got no idea what that is, but again, that could be something that is researched and asking questions for follow-up. It showcases a dragon face, according to BYD. Hold on, dragon face. Dragon face. Maybe. Okay. Dragon face with a black trim encircling the car. Okay, well, they're calling it a car as well. So I feel a bit better now that they're calling it a car, not just a vehicle. I'm not sure then I'm not sure what a definition of a car is. I'll have to look at, even though it seems so basic, what a car is compared to an SUV or a, well, I guess four-wheel drive. Four-wheel drive just means the how the wheels are powered, I guess you would say. But I guess we have, when we think of four-wheel drive, we have a classic vision of what a four-wheel drive looks like, but it doesn't have to be like that. And again, I guess I have an idea of what a car looks like, but maybe that could be wrong. A car may just be, in fact, let's do that. I'm curious now. Let me see if I can find a definition here. So, car meaning, let's have a look at this. Car, a four-wheeled road vehicle. So 4 wheels. If you have 3, it's not a car. That would be a, I don't know, a try something, I guess. But a 4-wheeled road vehicle that is powered by an engine and is able to carry a small number of people. And if it's able to carry a large number of people, it's not a car. Maybe then that's when it's a van or so forth. And I guess if we're being pedantic, we're not pedantic, I guess, if we'd like to say what's the difference between small. How many people is small? Like, I guess 4, 5. 5 is not difficult. 6 even, because some of the cars, if you take off the armrest or the bit in the middle, you could have 6 people. That's not unheard of, for cars. I guess when you get into 7 seats or 7 positions, that could be a bit more difficult to call it a car, but I don't know. But anyway, okay, so they're the definitions, but okay. Anyway, I'm distracting myself. Okay, so a black trim encircled. So we can see black trim. Like I said, so the trim is the well, sorry how you define it, but the extra bits that are not panels. Would that be a suitable definition? So the parts that are not metallic on the outside of the car. Maybe that's the trim, that's not plastic. Sorry, not metal and not plastic. I think because I think it tends to be like rubber, but it could be a plastic. So maybe plastic is not the right word to differentiate, but certainly not metal. I think I'm not sure if you have trim as metal, but I could be wrong. Notably, it features semi-concealed door handles and a floating roof. This is when we do I'm not sure if you see this from, I'm not sure if other languages do this as well, but certainly with native speakers of English, sometimes you'll see them go like this. And this is like the sort of situation because it has a floating roof, but the roof doesn't really float, of course, but it's called a floating roof. So it's a floating roof from the quote. So semi-concealed. Semi-concealed means, I guess, half concealed, which of course means semi-not concealed, which means open. And I guess that just means it's protecting it from the weather. I suppose that's the purpose, but I don't know. That could be one of your questions. What is the purpose of the semi-concealed door handles? What are the purposes? Maybe it's more than one purpose. The Yuan Up is designed more for urban driving than rugged terrains. I suppose so. Even though it does have that sort of four-wheel drive-y sort of a look about it, you probably wouldn't be taking it in the jungle. And it seems it seems low. Well, I don't know from the photo, but it seems low. So like if there's anything where, you're driving and over a bump or something and it goes up a lot, there's probably a bit of damage in there. So in urban terrains, you have generally flat roads, generally, not always. It depends on where you're living, of course, but yes. It falls into the crossover, here we go, into the crossover vehicle category. This is why maybe I'm confused between what's a car and SUV and all that sort of stuff. But what they're calling crossover, I'm not sure. But it falls into the crossover vehicle category, akin, that's an interesting word, akin to models like the Kia Soul, but with a more curved design. It's interesting. This is you could also imagine someone saying this as opposed to like just like an article. You can sort of especially with this sort of a sentence. It feels like someone could just be, explaining it to you very casually, like I am right now, I suppose. Okay, so if we go back to our questions, again, so the point is that we don't want to just read or listen to stuff. We want to actually do something with it. So here we're preparing some questions with the idea that you prepare the questions, then you can prepare the answers. Here we're writing them down, but again, with the questions, the answers, with anything, it could be written or it could be spoken. You could write the questions, say the answers. You could say the questions, write the answers. Whatever's more convenient to you. I guess if you write things down, it's a bit easier to remember them, depending on your memory. My memory's not good, so I have to look again to see what I was going to write a question about. Okay. So here it's mentioning it showcases a dragon face, according to BYD. Now I'm going to write two questions about this. So it showcases is an interesting term. It's probably not as common to use as other things, but it's an interesting word to use. If you think that's important to you, you can add that to your vocabulary list, of course. But as I always try and suggest, when you're adding something to your vocabulary list, think of how important is it for you to learn that word. When would you use it? How often would you use it? Is it Are you going to add it to your vocabulary list just because it's an interesting word or it's a cool word or you've never seen it before? No problem with that, but make an appropriate notation or category for that, or put it in an appropriate place on your list for that. Of course, the time and effort and energy should be spent on words and language that is going to be more common or useful for you. And you need to determine what that use is, what that priority is. Maybe it's because you use it every day, or you might use it every day, or maybe it's because you have a presentation or you will need to use it in the immediate future. So it's more important for that reason. Okay, so if we go back over here, so what does, now I'm more comfortable to say the car instead of the vehicle, because it said car as well. What does the car look like? So instead of showcase, I'm saying look like. And then with look like, if someone doesn't understand showcase and they read this article, that can give them a clue as well. But if you search, if you don't know what showcase is, and you search showcase, maybe it would say look like. But actually, let's see if that is the case. So let's have a look. Where are we? We're on, this is the Cambridge Dictionary. Now, here it's used as a verb. So we're going to say it showcases a dragon face. So showcase is used as a verb. So we want the verb. Okay, so to show the best qualities or parts of something. The main aim of the exhibition is to showcase British design. Okay, interesting. Okay, or to show the best qualities or parts of something. Okay. Okay. So to show what someone or something is like. Okay, this is what I wanted to see. So when we talk what something is like, in this case, we're talking about the appearance. So what something looks like. And we can see this is also listed under marketing. So what something or someone looks like is their appearance. And you can have other sorts of things, what something feels like or tastes like, and so forth. These other ones are listed under marketing as well. So maybe they're all listed under marketing, and that was just a thing. But yeah, okay, I guess this was just the general one, and the other ones got a bit more specific. But we can see there anyway that actually, I say you can see, but I didn't actually show that. I'm sorry, I was showing the wrong tab there. My apologies. So we're looking at, where were we? So down here. Okay, sorry, my mistake. Okay, so to show what someone or something is like is what we wanted to show there. And so when we go back to the question, this is what we say, what does the car look like? So he was talking about the appearance, but we can also ask that in a different way. So because in the article, and if we want to refer it to the way that the article is writing something, and again, with all of this sort of stuff, whenever we're using a resource of anything, if it's an article or if it's something on a video or a podcast or whatever, we're not necessarily thinking, is this factual? Is this 100% correct? If we want to check the accuracy of something, that's a different thing. We're just looking and using this in the sense of practicing and using English. So it's not necessarily, the concern is not about the complete accuracy, let's say, of the content of the resource, in this case, this article. Okay, but here it references according to BYD. So, the way we could say this was, what does BYD say or think the vehicle's appearance is, you say like or similar to, and so forth. But you can, and of course you could also say, according to BYD, and then you could ask the question. So like we have in number 10, what does the car look like? According to BYD, what does the car look like? Or according to BYD, well, what do they say the car looks like? Or what is the car said to look like? So what is the car said to look like? Okay, so some other examples there, but you get the idea. So the idea is that we are trying to practice asking questions related to the content of the story. And again, it could either be in the text or outside of the text. So getting your opinion or asking for further research. And again, this could just be stuff that you're just doing yourself. Yeah. So you're preparing the questions for yourself, answering the questions for yourself. But all of it is practice using the language rather than just looking at the story and going, oh, okay, that's an interesting story. Good. You read it and then do nothing with it. I feel that's a bit of a waste. It's not a bad thing to do just as such, but it's not using all the possibilities or even a minute amount of the possibilities. It's the very bare minimum. But if we can try and maximize or utilize or exploit whatever we're using to get some sort of benefit, because that's, I guess, how we learn. I mean, how do you learn? What do you think? But I think when you start using stuff, you tend to learn. There's more of a chance that you can remember whatever it is. I think it's the same if I watch a video of, I don't know, any sort of sport or something, for example. If I watch 100 videos, if I don't actually go out to the field and practice that activity, maybe it's a kick or hitting something with a stick or whatever it may be, if I don't actually practice that, I'm not going to get any better. So the actual video may be useful, but it's only useful if I use it, in my opinion. What do you think? Okay, so we're looking here, and let me see. Okay, so again, you could ask questions, I guess, about the trim. You could say, what color? What color is the trim? You could say, what encircles the car? Here it's got notably. So this is something that they think will get people's attention, but we can use that in a different way. So, for example, and similar to what we had in question 12, instead of according to BYD, in this case, according to the article, or according to the writer, what is notable about the car or about the vehicle and so on. And that could prompt that question or idea to give more ideas, that sort of thing. And I think I had this question before, actually. Let's say that. So what is the purpose of the semi-concealed door handle? Concealed, there we go. What is the purpose? Good. What is the purpose of the semi-concealed door handle? You could use singular or plural, whatever you prefer. You could say if you're looking for one use or multiple uses. Now, in this case, we haven't seen it in the article because we've only read the first two paragraphs. It may actually give us some reasons. At the moment, what I'm thinking of is just that you imagine what the purpose could be for that. If you want one purpose, of course, you say, what is the purpose? If you want more than one, what are the purposes? If you want to reference different people, of course, you could use this sort of thing like the according to. So according to the article, according to your experience, so from what you know, according to a particular person in the article, maybe you have different people in the article saying different things. So these are different ways that you can look at or prompt different perspectives of ideas. Okay. Okay, so the Yuan Up is designed more for urban driving than rugged terrains. So let's use this information for another question. So let's say where for the location, of course, again. So where should the vehicle be driven? Can you drive the car in a forest? So you can have it more open. I guess it's somewhat open, not the biggest, most broadest question, but it gives the person room for explanation and they can give more details rather than just yes or no. With this second one, again, people can elaborate and give more details, but it is possible that the person just says yes or no, or that you say yes or no. We'll note, of course, here that we can have examples of having a passive construction or an active construction. Similarly, I mean, you can play with this as well. So can the car be driven? And then you can say whatever the location is. With this, you have a few different things. Of course, we're thinking about location at the moment, but it could be lots of different things. In the rain, in hot weather, faster than 80 kilometers an hour on highways. So you have lots of different sorts of ways that you're approaching this aspect. But here I guess we're thinking that we can either use a passive construction. So here we have the verb to be and the past participle for the passive, or we can have just an active, just like the normal verb. And here we again have that quotation. Okay, and again, if you are not sure about what questions to write, you have many resources these days. I mean, the most obvious I would say is like if you go to any of the GPTs, sort of like Gemini, ChatGPT, those sorts of things, if you put in the article or a couple of paragraphs, whatever you're using, and say, think of a prompt. I'm learning English. I'm practicing writing questions. What are some questions I can ask related to this text? And see what questions that come up. If you can't think of anything, or you're not sure, or you can only think of maybe 2 or 3 questions, use that to give you some ideas. And like we said right at the start, I mean, if you have questions and someone gives you a bunch of questions, what you should be trying to do is create your own questions. Write your own questions so you have that ability and you use those other questions as a model. Now, obviously, if you're in a class or whatever, the teacher gives you questions, you have to answer the questions. But always try and backtrack. If you have time for study after something like that, where someone gives you questions, think to yourself, can I prepare my own questions? It's a good skill to have. Not just for the questions, but for the questions and the answers, and giving the answers from different perspectives. and that sort of thing. Analyzing what different ways you can slightly change questions to get different answers or different parts that you may need for different things. Okay, so here's some more angles. Let's have a look at one more. Is it for a 3-minute read? I guess it's the photos that make it look longer. Is this one or two? Okay. So the Yuan Up is built on the E platform 3.0. I don't know what that means. The Yuan Up is built on the E platform 3.0. I'm not sure if that means the software that it uses or what. That could be something that is researched. Very interesting. Also used on the Atto 3. Again, that's another thing that I don't know. Maybe those who are into cars, perhaps, I'm assuming it's referring to a model of car, perhaps, or vehicle, but maybe not. That could be other, could be like software or something. But if you're either familiar with vehicles, electronic vehicles, or software, maybe you know these things. But as someone who doesn't, that could be a prompt for you to find out more. It has a dimension of 4,310, 1830, 1675, depending on which way you want to say the numbers here, millimeters, and a wheelbase of 2,620 millimeters. See, as someone who has no real idea about cars and vehicles, I'm not sure what that means, but I'm sure if we look at the specifications, the specs of the vehicle, it would all make sense. And if we have our own vehicles, I guess we can compare and see how that relates. I guess the is that? Oh, I don't know. I'm not going to guess with that. It comes with two optional e-motors. Two optional e-motors with outputs of 70 kilowatts and 130 kilowatts. So, okay, I guess that's the option. So either 70 or 130, as opposed to the option of two motors. I guess that's not the case. You can choose between two and you can get one of them, as opposed to, yes, that would make more sense. Depending on the chosen battery option, range, okay, so that makes more sense then. So the motor is related to the battery, of course. That is logical, but sometimes we need to think through it aloud. Depending on the chosen battery option, ranging from 32 kilowatt hours, I believe, to 45.1 kilowatt hours, it can cover distances of 301 to 401 on a single charge, respectively. I wonder if they did the measurements and calculations for those in terms of, okay, how are we going to try and do and what are we going to do with the batteries? I wonder if all of that was from a marketing perspective, so they can say more than 300 kilometers or more than 400 kilometers. You can go more than 300 kilometers on a single charge, even though it's only 301. I wonder if that's the reason, or if that's just a coincidence, maybe. What do you think? Maybe it's a bit of both. Maybe they had a few different options, and maybe, who knows? Again, so they right there, there's plenty of room there for questions as well. As we said before, numbers are very easy ways to start at writing questions. So if you want to practice writing questions, you can use the numbers. I probably, like say, for example, the 3.0, e-platform 3.0, I probably wouldn't. I mean, you could, of course. But there'll be less common of a question, like what version of e-platform is the Yuan UP built on? Oh, but then again, I suppose I was thinking that maybe it's not too common, but I guess maybe it is common, because if you have phones, you have different versions of an operating system or on a computer and that sort of stuff. So I was going to say maybe it's less common of a question, or I did say, but in reality, it is a utilized question. So why not? But certainly numbers are a good way to start, and then branching out to other particular parts as well. So indeed, if you want to practice writing some questions, please by all means do that in the comments. And while you're there, if you're writing, say hello, any sort of ideas you have. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all of that sort of stuff if you found this useful, or if you have any general comments and that sort of stuff. When we're looking in the car here, under the dash, they're right under the hood. Actually, under the dash, no, under the hood of the car. Now, this could be a good thing to look at if you're going, oh, okay, maybe I need to learn some vocabulary about cars and motors and all that sort of stuff. You can look at the different parts here and go, okay, what do I know? What don't I know? And what might be important for me to know? And then look for that. I imagine for most vehicles, it's going to be reasonably similar in terms of the general parts. How they're arranged or how they're connected may be slightly different from vehicle to vehicle, but in general, I imagine sort of core or skeleton, if you like. Okay. And of course, so you can research that. And there's plenty of stuff online to research that. Inside the Yuan Up, the cabin showcases, again, showcases. I like that. The cabin showcases a D-shaped steering wheel. Hold on, let's go up a bit. D-shaped steering wheel. Is that right? Is that D? I'm not sure where the D comes from. I'm not sure if that's, maybe they have different Ds. I don't know, that doesn't look like it. Is that a D? Is that a D to you? Surely that must be, maybe it's a D because it's a little bit flat down the bottom, but I still wouldn't call, oh, is that a D? Okay, so it's slightly flat, and that's, I'm not sure if I call that a D. That's not the biggest thing in the world, of course, what the shape is, but it's curious. Okay, so maybe it's not completely oval. So because it has the straighter part down the bottom, maybe in the auto world that then is referred to as a D shape. Then again, I don't really know. So, but it's still, but to the untrained eye, I would still go, that's still like an oval shape, just not a complete oval. But that may be the D again. With a signature Yuan logo. With an 8.8-inch LCD instrument cluster. I guess that's the instrument cluster. I guess they're talking about the likes of the left and the right there, like the buttons and stuff. I guess that's the cluster. That I'm not sure, but I'm not sure if that's the same as. Maybe it is LCD. I don't know. Unless they're talking about the panel, like the actual display parts here. So there's a lot of buttons though, aren't there? Look at all those buttons there for all of the windows and stuff. Lots and lots of buttons. Okay. Anyway, okay. It also features a versatile 12.8-inch center screen capable of rotating. Okay, so that's the screen. So the LCD instrument, so it must be 8.8-inch LCD instrument cluster. See, I'm not sure if they're talking to the bit on the with the door controllers, or if it's the ones on the wheel, or if that's because I guess LCD can be used in many areas for many things, but it's the instruments So I guess it's the instruments you actually use them rather than just a straight display. But then again, the seats wrapped in perforated leatherette. So not leather, but leatherette. What is leatherette? I don't know. But anyway, offer power adjustments. The seats offer power adjustments. I don't know what that means. I'm not sure what power you adjust with the seats. But if you happen to know, please write in the comments what sort of power is adjusted with the seats. The center console houses a wireless charging panel, a crystal gear selector, and physical buttons for essential functions. I guess that's here in the middle. Okay. The wireless charging panel, maybe that's at the back there, this sort of this gray looking thing here. Maybe that's it. Crystal clear gear selector. Maybe it's crystal clear and I can't see it. Don't know. Anyway. And physical buttons for essential functions. The interior is brightened by a huge panoramic roof and mixed color schemes such as black and beige or pink, charcoal, and light gray. The back seat provides a flat floor for enhanced comfort. Okay, interesting. And again, you can, with all of this, so here we have no numbers at all. So it can be a bit more richer in terms of the questions that you're asking and thinking about asking. So certainly worth having a look through this particular paragraph and preparing and writing your questions. Okay, and here we have a look from the side. I have to say, maybe this is very casual. I'm not sure if this is how, I suppose it's good because it's a very realistic sort of presentation of the vehicle. I have to say that this looks like maybe it was like the person who wrote this used it, because it doesn't look like a used car. So certainly maybe that's showing, not that that's a bad thing, of course. It's good that the car works and people can use it. But even like if you look at the mats and stuff here, it's certainly very, very used. It's just curious that because it's a new car that's being released. But interesting. But these are when the media, perhaps from Car News China, when they perhaps were having like an exclusive look or something like that. Maybe not exclusive, maybe just a look for media. Different people got to go in and that sort of thing. Although the picture, I'm not sure. This looks like there's actually like a road, or it's like people are lining up to go out, because certainly there's lights on. So it looks like this is actually in use. So maybe it could be that this was like a technician or something, or an engineer taking the car out for a spin or a drive, something like that. Okay, we're gonna leave it there. You've seen some of the questions. So this is from the first couple of paragraphs to give you an idea. You've seen a couple other paragraphs there. If you want to practice writing your questions, I invite you to do that in the comments, certainly. If you want to have a look at this article, it is on the ChinaNewsCar.com website under the title BYD Yuan UP or up launches on March 19th, starting at $11,000 US dollars. So it's certainly something to have a look at if you're interested. It's an example, and of course, this is just an example, a model of what you can do and what you may or how you may be able to use a text and that sort of stuff. We haven't really looked at this, but certainly it's also a good thing. We mentioned before that comments can be a good section for people to give, obviously, their opinions and that sort of thing. So you can see A, what people think, and B, think about how you would present your ideas. I think that was pretty. I just saw something. I think that was quite funny because this guy goes, this comment is from Peter Wang, and then there's a comment down here, mother of Peter Wang. I did that just a little bit on the amusing side there. But yes, like I say, you don't, of course, have to write any comments, but it's an opportunity for you to think about, if you were going to comment, what you would write, to see how other people write comments and how you might reply to those comments, etc. Okay, we're gonna leave it there. Thank you very much for joining. Hope you've had a good time. I hope you've been able to take some sort of benefit. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff, particularly if you've gained some benefit, and I hope you have. Hope to hear from you soon. Hope you have a great rest of the day and keep using and practicing English. Okay, take it easy. Have a good one. Until next time. See you later. Bye.